In every single piece of business that we do, the client experience is at the top of the heap. That's what we're seeking after. We're seeking the best possible client experience. And waiting 3 months for an insurance policy to get underwritten is not great for having the best client experience. But it has become an industry standard. Why is this sort of accepted practice for it to take 2 or 3 months to get a case done? I don't know, and I cannot stand hearing that the reason for something is because it's always been the reason. Well, that makes no sense. Here's a timeline we're talking about. Okay, let's say we take an application on a Monday, and typically now insurance companies have a fax line where you can send the application in. So you get right into the queue, and maybe the queue is 5 days long. So you send it in on a Monday. On Friday, the case manager at the insurance company actually takes a look at the file and decides to order APS from one doctor and go ahead and order the paramed exam as well. And let's say it takes a month for the doctor's records to make it in front of the underwriter. And the underwriter notices in the records that there is another doctor in the picture, which is mentioned in the medical records from the first set that they got. Now they have to order those records. Now we add another month to the process at least for the order to go out to the other doctor, for the records to come back in, get back in the queue, and we're back in front of the underwriter. And maybe there is some other question. Maybe there is some sort of ambiguity in the medical records that has to be explained. So the agent is notified. Maybe there's something that they can clarify pretty quickly. Maybe not. Let's say that adds another 2 weeks to the process, but between queue times and emails and the like. And this is normal. And so now we're 2.5 months into the process, at least, maybe 3 months before we have an offer. Maybe the offer isn't exactly what we wanted, so we may have to adjust the plan to fit budget, and now the policy goes to issue. Now we're 3.5 months into this thing before we have a policy. And that's normal. This is just an incredible amount of time to get an application from the point where it's signed until we have a policy in our hands. And we're talking about what's normal. Now what should be normal is, and we help with this process a little bit, because we order the medical records. We don't wait for the insurance company to order medical records, and we dig in to find out if there are other doctors where we can order medical records from several doctors concurrently if we have to. The process should only take 2.5 weeks. And that's given that let's say the insurance company has a 3 or 4 or 5 day queue time. We should be able to get medical records within a week and a half. We should be able to get the exam done within a week or a week and a half, and we should be able to submit all that to the insurance company within 2 weeks with a half week of queue time. 2.5 weeks. Now, sometimes that happens. Most of the time it does not. Something that's disturbing to us in the life insurance industry that as of now has very few solves is the worst thing with regard to underwriting life insurance, and that is waiting for APS. Attending physician statement, medical records is what they are. Doctors' offices or hospitals or specialists typically have their own copy service. And if you order medical records on, let's say, a Tuesday, when the copy service does its work on a Monday, and they only come every 2 weeks, then the records wouldn't get copied for at least 13 days, and then they may sit on them for another week or two, and it might take a while for them to upload for us to see them. So a month could go by before we get our first set of medical records. Then we could discover that the doctor has put something in his scratch notes that is ambiguous, or difficult to read, or maybe he recommended, just as a possible CYA type thing, that the patient should do follow-up testing on whatever topic. Maybe blood pressure was in the high normal ranges. That ambiguous language in the doctor's scratch notes can be very detrimental to underwriting, because insurance companies' underwriters may think that something is left outstanding. The characterization that is in the doctor's notes and the takeaway from the patient or client are completely different things. The doctor may have told our client that the levels are fine, your blood test is okay, there's nothing to worry about, we'll talk about it later, but yet his notes are contradictory to that. And sometimes it results in our having to ask our client to go back to the doctor and have a new test that should not be necessary. And even when they go back to the doctor will say, there's no need to have this test. Yet in the records, it looks like there is something that's unfinished. It looks as if there were notes put in there just as a possible backup for a potential medical problem that may arise sometime in the future. Well, this is difficult on the client. It's difficult on us. What's the resolution to it? Well, sometimes there may not be much of one. It can stall a case for a long period of time until we have a new set of medical records that explains away the whatever you want to call it, a slip up, mischaracterization, make the experience the best we can possibly make it for the client, and also hopefully setting expectations properly with our clients to let them know, hey, this is not the most fun process. You're going to do probably more waiting here than you would want to, and that we would hope that you would have to do. We will hopefully get it done and get it done right, and you'll have a policy that makes good sense. And if you don't, we'll take the underwriting material that we've gathered up and we'll take it to some other company until we get the offer that we want.